Welcome to Embrace Yourself. My name is Kim, and I'm a movement specialist passionate about joy, health, and happiness. I want each of us to discover our healthiest, happiest selves, but to do that, we have to get moving. Today, I'm excited to share 2 core exercises that we'll be performing on the foam roller. Now, you will need a full-size foam roller because we're going to be laying parallel on the roller, and I need both my hips and my head to be supported. You can do both of these exercises on the floor. I just chose to demonstrate them on the foam roller because I love the additional instability challenge. So let's get started. I want to begin by focusing on what hip alignment looks like on a foam roller. Sitting at the front edge of the roller, we want to make sure that the bony protrusions at the top of our pelvis are in line with our knees, known as the patella, down to our second and third toes. So we're looking for hip, knee, and toe alignment as we sit. Once we have that, we can gently lower ourselves to the floor. I'm placing the roller parallel underneath my body, and I'm going to make sure that as I roll down, I've got my hands on the floor. From there, I'm going to lift one knee at a time into tabletop and lower back down. I'm testing to make sure that each side feels comfortable as I lift that knee to tabletop. I'm also focusing on my ribs, making sure that they stay flush with my hip bones, and I want my spine long on the roller, not necessarily imprinted by focusing into a posterior tilt, nor do I want to arch my back so that I can allow my hands to go underneath the back. Rather, I want that spine long so that I make sure that I've got a nice length and I can still allow small ladybugs to crawl underneath my back. As I focus on lifting, I want to engage one glute muscle, and I want the glute muscle engaged that's standing on the floor. So I think about squeezing that glute to help me stay stable. In addition, I want to focus on cinching my waist, and I like to visualize the NASA symbol. All of those circles going in different directions makes me think about cinching, drawing the belly in, and engaging cross-fascial slings so that I can engage my core to the fullest extent. Once I feel comfortable lifting my knees one at a time, I can do this exercise with my eyes closed. This is the first progression, and these are known as dead bugs or marching. So I can do it eyes open or eyes closed, and I'm just checking in to make sure that I feel good doing these exercises first. After that, I can add another progression. Now, with each of these progressions, make sure that you feel good doing the previous exercise. Once you have that mastered, move on to the progression. From here, I'm going to take my opposite hand and leg, lift them up to tabletop, and lower back down. I'm doing this on each side, and I'm checking in to make sure that I feel stable. As I do this, I'm thinking again about cinching that core, and I'm still squeezing the glute of the leg that's on the ground. Once I feel confident completing this exercise, I can move on to the next progression, which is doing the same exercise with my eyes closed. So I close my eyes, think about hovering the hand and foot. I want both the hand and foot to come off at the same time as well as land at the same time. Additionally, I want to make sure that I'm not rushing through the exercise. So I try to do this in a 4-count phase. 1 count being the hand and foot coming off, 2, 3, and by the time I get to 4, they're up at tabletop. Lower down 4, 3, 2, and at 1, I have my hand and foot back on the mat. Once I've mastered this progression, I can move on to both hands and one leg. This is where the nervous system really starts to get stressed because I'm on an unstable surface and I'm asking myself to balance with only one leg on the ground, 1 foot. So let's try it. We're going to take both hands and a foot off and then place them back down. I like to take both hands and the foot off together, and at first I just practice keeping both hands and feet close to the ground. The reason for that is so that my nervous system starts to learn, I'm successful at lifting my hands and a foot. This is okay. I can do this. And it gives me the confidence to then continue on. It's all about training the fascial and nervous system in order to achieve the best results from these exercises. So I now begin by lifting both hands and a foot and slowly bringing them up to 90 degrees, and then slowly lowering those hands and the foot back to the ground. I repeat on the other side, doing the exact same exercise. Now you will notice that one side is easier than the other. That's because we all have a dominant fascial sling. The great thing about doing these exercises is that you can start to train cross slings. So this is ideal, especially for skiers who may have a dominant turning side. This is just a wonderful way to work cross fascial slings. After I've mastered that level of the exercise, I can move on to closing my eyes, lifting both hands and a foot, and slowly drawing those arms and legs to the ceiling and lowering back down. Same thing, I want to engage the core, and I want to focus on calming my nervous system, engaging the fascial slings so that I'm successfully able to do this exercise. And as I mentioned, you'll notice one side is much easier than the other, but this is definitely a tough exercise to complete. Once you've mastered this level of the exercise, you're good to go. You could start to focus on lifting both legs, drawing the legs up, and then balancing hands off of the floor. Then we can add those eyes closing and doing the exact same thing. So you can play around with your foam roller, and it's super fun. The next exercise that I'd like to do is called chest lift. Now in chest lift, we're going to keep our feet on the ground for today's variation. What's important is we're going to interlace our hands and we're going to provide a sling to our head. Back in the 80s and even the 90s, we used to cue fingertips to the side of the head to do any sort of crunch work, but that forced us to jut our chin and use our necks. That's not what I want to be using. I want to use my core. Plus, we miss out on the added fun of the head being weighted as a lever against the core, because I can push my head into those interlaced hands and I get a little few extra poundage working against my abdomen. Let's try it. I'm going to interlace my hands, place my hands behind my head, take a nice deep breath in, just preparing for the movement. On the exhale, I'm curling up and I'm looking in between my legs, making sure that I'm still hip width. From here, I inhale and grab onto my thighs. Exhale, pull myself up just a little bit higher. Inhale, I reach the arms, bring the hands interlaced back behind my head, and I push my head into my hands, exhaling to lower back down. Now this is a huge amount of work on my core. So I want to make sure that I'm doing few repetitions where I really challenge and work the core rather than doing hundreds of something that I'm not engaging. So hands are interlaced, inhale to prepare, exhale to curl up, looking through my legs. Inhale, I reach and grab onto my thighs, grab those thighs. Exhale, pull with your thighs and your hands to lift yourself higher. Inhale, reaching the arms. I'm trying to reach those fingertips just beyond my knees. Hands come back. I interlace them behind my head. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling this in my abdomen. And then I exhale and lower back down. This is a toughie. Let's try one more. Inhaling to prepare. On the exhale, I curl, scoop, and roll up. Inhale, reach and grab onto my thighs. Exhale, curl, pull myself higher. Notice I'm way up on my ribs. I'm trying to get probably to where I'd attach a heart rate monitor on my back. Then inhale to reach. I place those hands behind my head, exhale and lower back down. Now I can hold for longer counts once I'm up, and that just adds an even greater challenge. Additionally, I can do this in a long lever, which we're going to try next. This time, instead of keeping my hands bent as I come back, I'm going to lengthen my arms back, and that's the lever. So let's begin. Inhale to prepare for the movement. On the exhale, we curl, scoop, and roll up. Inhale, reach and grab your thighs. Exhale, pull yourself higher. Now right here, I'm inhaling and reaching my arms. I'm going to slowly float my arms back, and I'm doing it at a 4 count, trying to keep my body lifted. Now my hands interlace, place it behind that. I hold. Exhale, lower down. This is so much fun. I love it. Let's do one more. Inhale to prepare. Exhale, curl, scoop, roll up. Inhale, reach and grab onto those thighs. Exhale, pull myself higher. Now this is my last breath until I exhale to lower. So I inhale to reach, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen those arms. Try and stay as high as I can. Hands interlace. Push my head in. Exhale, lower down. And that's the exercise. Now I can get off of the roller. So you can see how we could do these exercises on the floor. Granted, those dead bugs lifting and lowering aren't quite as challenging on a super stable surface, but I do love chest lift either on my foam roller or on the mat. The foam roller just helps give me feedback into my spine. So it helps me make sure that I'm not arching my back. And I also like to feel when I start to let myself go and get rid of the core. So I hope you enjoyed those 2 exercises today. Go do some more for your home fun assignment tonight, and I'll see you tomorrow.